Okay, so picture this. It's 1995. South Africa is brand new, just stepping out from the long, dark shadow of apartheid. And right away, the new nation has to face this massive, fundamental question. In a country that's promising human rights for all, can there really be any room for the ultimate punishment? This was the question at the heart of a court case that would literally define the country's new soul. So, how high were the stakes? Well, this was the number of people on death row at the time, about 400. And that's not just a statistic, right? That's nearly 400 human lives, each one hanging in the balance, all waiting for a single decision from the country's brand new constitutional court. This wasn't just some abstract legal debate. It was a matter of life and death on a massive scale.
So you gotta wonder, what was the one thing that forced this huge issue into the spotlight? Well, the future of capital punishment and the fate of all those people came down to a single case, the state versus Makwanyane and Makunu. The details of the case itself are, well, they're pretty grim. You have two men, Themba Makwanyane and Mavulane Machunu, who were convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to die. But here's the kicker. The law that condemned them, the Criminal Procedure Act, was a relic, a holdover from the old regime. So their appeal wasn't just about whether they were guilty. It became this ultimate test, pitting a law from the apartheid era directly against the core values of a new, democratic South Africa. And this is where it gets really interesting, because right in between their sentencing and their appeal, the entire country changed. I mean, everything. In 1993, South Africa adopted an interim constitution, a document that was designed to steer the nation on a completely different path. And the way the court itself talked about this new constitution is it's so powerful. They didn't just see it as a rule book. They called it a historic bridge, a conscious, deliberate step away from a past filled with injustice and toward a future built on the absolute, non-negotiable foundation of human rights. And right at the core of this new promise, Section 9. It's so simple, but so profound. And here's the key part. It's unqualified. Every person shall have the right to life. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. This was pillar number 1 of the legal challenge. And going hand in hand with that right to life was the right to dignity. The court basically said, look, you can't have one without the other. Life without dignity isn't really living. So that became the second pillar. And then, to round it all out, you have the third pillar, a direct, explicit ban on any punishment that's cruel, inhuman, or degrading. So you've got these three things working together, creating this sort of ironclad shield of protection for every single person under the new law. So all of this sets the stage for the ultimate legal showdown, right? Could the death penalty, a law born from a totally different era, possibly survive the moral and legal test of these new fundamental rights? Okay, so in court, you had a real clash of ideas. The state was arguing, hey, we need this. It's a deterrent, it gives society a sense of justice, and most people want it. But on the other side, the defense was saying, no way. This is an attack on human dignity itself. It goes against the right to life. It's applied unfairly. And what if we make a mistake? You can't undo it. So which argument wins? Well, the court's job wasn't to see what was popular. Their job was to measure every single one of these points against the brand new Constitution. That was the only thing that mattered. And what's so brilliant about the court's reasoning is that they didn't just pick a side. Instead, they took the death penalty and looked at it from every single angle, through the lens of these new core principles. First up, they tackled the scariest part. What if we get it wrong? I mean, any justice system is run by people, and people make mistakes. It happens. You can let an innocent person out of jail, you can try to make things right. But with the death penalty, there's no going back. It's final. As the court put it, it's irremediable. You can't fix it. Then they looked at how this whole thing actually worked in the real world. And what they found was, it was basically a lottery. Whether you lived or died could depend on things that have nothing to do with justice, like how poor you were or the quality of your state-appointed lawyer. The court said, look, when a life is on the line, that kind of randomness, that fundamental inequality, is just not acceptable. And that led them to the absolute core of their argument, dignity. The court said that the death penalty is uniquely cruel because it treats a person like an object to be thrown away, stripping them of their humanity. And this quote, wow, it says that no matter what someone has done, they are still a human being, and our shared humanity means their basic dignity has to be respected.
Okay, but what about public opinion? The state argued that most South Africans wanted the death penalty, and the court's response was a masterclass in why constitutions matter. They basically said, our job isn't to follow polls. Our job is to protect everyone's rights, especially the most vulnerable, from the changing winds of politics. Rights aren't supposed to be a popularity contest. So, after carefully weighing the right to life, the right to dignity, and the huge problems of error and just plain unfairness, the court was ready to give its historic answer. And the answer was unconstitutional. Just like that, on June 6th, 1995, South Africa's highest court declared the death penalty was a cruel, inhuman, and degrading punishment. It just could not exist alongside the rights and values of the new constitution. And the effect of this decision? It was massive, and it was instant. The law authorizing capital punishment was gone. Those nearly 400 people on death row, their lives were spared. In one single ruling, South Africa joined the growing movement of nations to abolish the death penalty and sent this undeniable message that its entire legal system would be built, first and foremost, on a foundation of human rights. You know, the judgment leaves us all with this really profound question to think about. It suggests that the true test of a society's commitment to rights isn't how it treats its best citizens, but how it treats its worst and its weakest. Because it's only by protecting the rights of the most vulnerable that any of us can be truly secure in our own. Thanks for joining me for this breakdown. And hey, don't forget to follow and subscribe for more.